In my book, we are not on this channel. I am not here to convince you that we are going to start a movement that's going to elicit any change. That would be a nice idea, but we're realistic here. I'm not going to play pretend. The Jays, in my opinion, they won. They own America, and there's nothing we can do about it. I got nothing else that I can do to help, like, with that situation. It's out of my control. It's out of my control. All right, let's watch this. And then we'll get into Candace later in the show.
Describe the circumstances that have led to this violence. Like, how does a normal young man, go from being a normal young man to being a murderer?
I think that it has a lot to do. If you read through all these stories, they always have a few things in common, which is that, and people have pointed.
Sorry, I'm going to move a little further forward. Okay.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
I know what you're thinking. Why do you have ads? Well, it was demonetized for a year and a half. There's some budget cuts. So yeah, if you want to see these ads go away, send a donation. You know what I mean?
In Minneapolis.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it.
Oh my God,
just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
I think that's what that was. I think if Tyler Robinson is found guilty, there's been some interesting screenshots about him and his transgender boyfriend. It's the same story there, if that's true. And I would imagine it was not dissimilar with the guy that showed up and tried to kill me. I think those are always the ingredients that produce that kind of violence.
It's interesting, your audience, as I imagine it, I've never seen any of your numbers. I don't even know how big your audience is. It seems big to me, but I think of them as young men.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bulk of your audience, right?
Yes.
And yet here you are criticizing weed and video games and the internet, and you work on the internet. You are a creation. I mean, you wouldn't exist without the internet, of course. You didn't get a job at NBC News. So what kind of reaction do you get when you criticize weed, gaming, and the internet to young men?
A lot of them agree with it because they get it. It's their life. A lot of them, that's their life. Their life is, and another thing we didn't even bring up is the porn thing, which is there also. This is their life. Weed, gaming, porn. And I think they know it's bad. I think they know there's like some sense of guilt. And so it's interesting. I would say it's maybe an
Okay. So remember, on this channel, we operate with the idea that sex is a need for men. Now, a lot of conservatives like to pretend that sex is not a need for men. Oh, they don't need sex. Well, they're on their high horse. What percent of men have watched porn? What percent of men have watched porn? 67% of American men. Okay, which kind of another study found that 75% of Christian men, 78% of men, and just anecdotally, I mean, what guy hasn't watched porn? So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll argue, they'll say, oh, sex isn't a need. The men are just being babies. Don't watch porn. Don't watch porn. And I'm like, okay, have you watched porn? And they're like, well, and the challenge I get with a lot of Christian, not all, but a good chunk of them is it's a lot of sexually inexperienced men, and a lot of young men, right? And they've never been in charge of anything. And the challenge you get is you get very unrealistic and not probable demands, like banning corn, right? Corn, I would say, it really is a tool. I don't think it's as bad as the conservatives make it out to be. If you look on Reddit and look for the guys quitting, like doing no-fap stuff, 2 weeks, that problem's solved. It doesn't seem like this debilitating, horrible thing. It just seems like it's what men do that are not sexually selected. And we really got to ask ourselves this as people. You know, there's a burden of performance on men to be charming and hold frame with women. Now, again, a lot of these guys, what they'll do is even Nick, right? He has a strong talk on his show about how he's going to hold frame with women, but until he's in that situation, he can't say what he's going to do, right? And I think that's the case for a lot of, like, I guess this kind of part of the internet. It's a lot of guys that have no experience in this stuff. And so what happens is they kind of point to corn as the problem, but corn is a reaction to giving women sexual selection. Because again, sex is a need for men. The part of their brain that lights up with food also lights up with corn. So where does that leave us? It's a tool for men that are not selected sexually. And what the conservatives do is they almost want like DEI women in a way. A lot of them don't want to do the work of becoming hot, charming, and attractive to women because it is a lot of work. It's a lot of bullshit, right? You have to approach a bajillion women. You got to lose weight. And I understand the frustration because women, we're just born and we're attractive to men. As a woman, it's probably really annoying to hear me say that, right? And so what they want to do is go back to the old days and take away women's desire, take away women's choice. I understand the reasoning for wanting to do that, but it's never going to happen. So the only way that men are going to get the women they like is to learn to be charming and attractive to women. There's different strategies on how to do that. But I think what corn is it's a tool for men that are not selected sexually. If those same men had hot women interested in them, if their wives actually slept with them, they wouldn't have this problem. They wouldn't have a corn addiction. But the women are fat. The women are not sleeping with them or choosing them. And now we have 2025. I need to start naming them. It's hard to be attractive and successful and tall as a man. I don't know how you do it, Michael. It's not watching corn, it's watching it nonstop that messes you up. Yeah, and what happens is corn actually gives men power. And you'll notice with Christian guys, what they'll do is they're always actively advocating to give up their power. They're like, the Bible says this. I understand the thought process, but from what I understand, there was a lot, and this is me speaking a little out of my element. There was a lot of men that were messing around that had a lot of favor with the Lord, so I have a hard time. I have a hard time really. I think this is where the church loses a lot of people or Christian conservatives because they're just not pragmatic. It's like, okay, what are the men going to do that aren't getting sex? Oh, we'll just be a real man and don't have sex ever. It's like, have you met men? They want to bang anything. They bang fat. And so you get a lot of men that are kind of like usually younger and more naive that kind of fall for this stuff. Well, corn is empowering. What? Okay, let me explain. If you're in a marriage and your wife is your only source of sexuality, who holds the power? She does, because you as a man are always going to want more sex than she does. What takes away from that power? Corn. Why do you think these Christian women hate it so much? Because a man is way more likely to deal with her BS if he doesn't have that as an option. Look, if I've seen one thing about the religious stuff is every religion finds a way to manipulate the Bible to give women power. And it's so interesting. I really like Nick, but I still think you can just tell he's not that experienced with women because some of the takes that he has, and I think this is one of them.